But you know what's also not addressed? Poverty.
Yep.
I mean, the poverty figures are unprecedented, as are the inequality figures, unprecedented in modern times. Those aren't addressed. You have this inequality, which is unstable and unhealthy.
Well, and that will likely be our downfall. I mean, I've said over and over again
that's right. Are we Greece or Rome?
Yes. Well, and also, you know what? If there is going to be some kind of revolution here, it's not going to be the right against the left. It's going to be the poor against the rich.
We need the kind of tumult, disorder, pressure that will force our new president, Barack Obama, also to make choices. He doesn't want to make choices.
We are about to inherit a nightmare scenario. The nightmare scenario is this. The country continues to get more racially diverse, but less economically prosperous. That's not a recipe for a common ground. That's a recipe for a battleground. Change maps that in some ways, in that change has to be top down, bottom up, and inside out.
And the argument of challenging authority is that it's when elections interact with powerful, disruptive, unruly movements from the bottom of the society through their ability to refuse to cooperate with important institutions by striking, for example, or by blockading the streets, or by shutting down the schools. At those moments, we have had important changes and progressive changes in American society.
And it can
I began
happen
with
again.
the American Revolution.
The only way that can happen is for the haves and the have-mores to stop hoarding what they got and start sharing what they got with the have-nots. That's right. You talking about a revolution?
When America starts having people rioting on the streets and bonfires on the streets like we saw in London just a couple of weeks ago, then you will know that you are really cutting spending, because the point is people are not angry here because spending isn't being cut.
But what about the outrage of the people? I mean, I keep getting back to that. If you look at Europe, I mean, for crying out loud, they had 100,000 people in Belgium out on the streets. Also in Ireland, 100,000, thousands, hundreds, 20,000 students in the UK. France, they practically shut the place down. Greece, they turned the place upside down for months, and that is still going on. So are we too complacent here in the United States? I mean, sitting back and waiting for President Obama, who has always been a moderate, he never put himself forward as anything more than a moderate, to do what we as the people and the movements should be doing.
You've looted the economy, and now food and basic necessities, food and gas, all of a sudden become more expensive, harder to get to. And then step 3.5 is when you get the riots. So we're fastly approaching that. Now, we've been able to avoid riots because of food stamps and, 52 million people surviving off of this. But if, the price of food goes up, if the price of gas goes up, all these people receiving government benefits, it's not going to cut it. And then on top of that, you got a lot more people falling into these poverty areas that are going to need assistance. And the social safety net is already used up all its reserves. I mean, we are headed to, as the IMF says and as they plan, step 3.5, IMF riots.
If inevitably it's not just a group of people in one country, it's people dotted, like quite rightly, as you said, all over Europe, feeling the kind of same sense of injustice, feeling the same sense of this has gone on for too long and you're asking too much of us. It's a really empowering feeling, and I can only hope that we kind of send some of the energy across the pond back to you, because I think what's happening is that people who aren't necessarily very political or who aren't necessarily active are starting to just feel such a massive sense of injustice and starting to look around and say, well, the people who've been saying these things for a long time are actually right. And that's what I hope at least happens in countries like America and countries like the US.